Don't worry, be happy is easier said than done. However, if you are really interested in studying happy, you can start a happiness project, which is exactly what New York lawyer turned writer Gretchen Rubin did. She spent a year of her life trying to sing in the morning, clean her closets, fight right, read Aristotle, and generally have more fun. Today, she has a popular blog called The Happiness Project, and she's still studying and writing about happy. This year, she wants you to be happier at home, which means you have to kiss more, jump more, abandon a project, read Samuel Johnson, and build little shrines in your home to its people. Does happiness always make you happy? Stay with us to find out. It's good to be here with you today and with international best-selling writer Gretchen Rubin, who is a happiness sleuth. Rubin is a Missouri-born Yale Law School grad who once clerked for U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, and she served as a chief advisor to the Federal Communications Commission chair. One morning, or maybe one afternoon, she decided law was not high on her happiness scale because she really wanted to be Gretchen the writer. Hello, Gretchen, the award-winning writer. Welcome.
Well, I'm very happy to be talking to you today.
Well, happy to meet you to talk about happy.
Yes.
How do you define it?
Well, you know, I actually never do define it. As you pointed out, I started my career in law, and I have many happy memories of arguing about the definition of contract. And if anything, happiness is even more elusive to define. And I think for most people, it's easier to think about being happier. What can you do to be happier, rather than trying to lock down an exact definition of happiness? Because is it satisfaction or peace or contentment or bliss? It's very hard to define. So.
Sure. Are you born happy or do you get happy?
Right, right.
Who knows? Back to your days with Sandra Day O'Connor, formidable force.
Yes, absolutely.
Appointed by Ronald Reagan, I believe. Mm-hmm. Well, you would know more than I.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What was it like?
It was a fantastic experience. Justice O'Connor is a wonderful person, formidable, but warm and wonderful. And to work on the Supreme Court it was such an exciting experience to do. It's an institution that has a very serious role to play, and it takes itself very seriously. Everything is done at a very, very meticulous level. So it was thrilling to be able to.
I'm sure.
Play a role.
And she went on to be chancellor at William and Mary or some major university, wasn't she?
I don't believe
so. I thought it was her. Maybe not. After Henry Kissinger and some of them? No?
I don't believe so.
She's in Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona girl. We do know that.
She is.
Roots run deep.
Yeah.
Now, you as a young girl, did you dream of being a writer?
You know, I didn't. And I think looking back on my past, I did a lot of things that a person would do to prepare herself to be a writer, but I didn't allow myself to even articulate that I wanted to be a writer until very late along my path. I think in a way I wanted it so badly that I was afraid to even admit it to myself. So I never did think about being a writer growing up, even though I was doing a lot of writerly things.
But I bet you read a lot.
I read a ton, yes. I've always read a huge amount.
And Laura Ingalls Wilder, perhaps?
Yes. Countless times I've read
Little House in the Big Woods. I'm thinking house, I'm thinking home.
Yes.
Let's go back first to the roots of the Happiness Project. Why?
Well, one day I had some time to think to myself, what did I want from life anyway? And I realized I want to be happy, but I didn't spend any time thinking about whether I was happy or how I could be happier. So I decided I should have a happiness project. And all my legal training kicked in, and I thought, I'll have themes and resolutions, and I'll plan it all out. And I got a huge stack of books from the library and started researching happiness.
And then?
And then with Happier at Home, I had sort of a similar epiphany where I was standing in my own kitchen, unloading the dishwasher, and I was overwhelmed with a sense of homesickness. And I thought, well, how can I be feeling homesick if I'm standing in my own home? And that got me to focus for the first time on this idea of home. And I realized that for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's really the foundation. And so many elements of a happy life come together in home. So I decided I wanted to do another happiness project, and this time really go very deeply into this idea of home.
Okay, and so when you said to your husband, who is also a lawyer.
Yeah, he was, yes.
Was a lawyer. Jamie, guess what, darling? I'm going to do another happiness thing.
Yeah, he was sort of like, didn't you just already do that? He feels a little bit of a martyr to happiness, I think. But yes, I said I was going to do it again, and so I did. And I never make him drag him along. So he didn't have to worry about getting his own list of resolutions to
Okay,
follow.
and that makes him happy.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, but part of being happy at home is being happy with the people in the home.
Absolutely.
And making or helping the people in the home to be happier too.
Right, absolutely. But one of the sad truths of happiness is that the only person you can change is yourself. And it's very tempting to think, well, I would be happier if other people would behave properly, and to think of a long list of resolutions to assign to them. But it doesn't work that way. So I was focused on resolutions that I would follow. But what I found was that when I changed, my relationship with my husband changed. And when I changed, the atmosphere of my home changed. So I was able to bring about these larger changes just by focusing on myself.
Well, Thoreau, and you quote him many times in Happier at Home, everyone be who he is made.
Yes.
So be Gretchen.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Be Fanny.
Be Fanny, be Gretchen,
Well,
be Sue.
Yes, it sounds like it would be the easiest thing, because to know yourself and to be yourself, because what do you do but hang out with yourself all day long? But it's really one of the biggest challenges for a happy life, is to know yourself, admit to yourself who you are, not who you think you ought to be, not who you wish you were, not who other people think you ought to be, what you assume you should be, but really to be who you are. And what I found is the more I make my life reflect my own nature, my own values, my own interests, the happier I become. So, you know, for a lot of people, music is a huge source of happiness. And it was sort of sad to admit to myself, you know, I'm not that into music. And to let go of that fantasy of who I ought to be or who I thought I should be.
I have a friend I tried to drag to the Madonna concert. She said, pop concerts leave me cold.
Right, right. So, and you have to admit that to yourself, that and a lot of times I want to be the big person, or to have the capacity to enjoy, opera or chess or crossword puzzles or wine, but I just don't. A friend of mine said, she's like, well, you know me, I hate the outdoors. I thought, that's bold.
Yeah, it is bold. And you, girl, you don't meditate.
No, I know. This is very often assigned for people who are working on their happiness, is to meditate. And I just realized, you know what? It holds no appeal to me. If I want to be Gretchen, I think I'm just gonna skip the meditating.
And I'm going to admit, I just don't meditate.
Yes, yes.
But you do know yourself.
I try, but again, it's very hard, because there's so much pressure on us to worry about how we ought to be.
But do you think that people who feel in control of their lives are happier?
Well, you put your finger on something very important. It turns out that this feeling of control is very crucial to a happy life, and so. And people who feel in control of their time, the way that they work, their environment, feel much happier. And so the little things that you can do to help yourself feel like you're more in control, even just like things like getting enough sleep, so that you feel like you have time in the morning, you're not racing around, that kind of thing. Even those small things.
Sure, but so many people are going full speed ahead, as you know, connected all the time.
Yes.
Passing each other in the driveway.
Yes.
Not connecting to their children, don't have time to connect to the kids.
Yes.
At the office.
Yes.
You changed that in your home. You've got 2 girls.
Yes. Well, so one of the things, because we were falling into bad habits where we were coming and going without really acknowledging each other, just sort of grunting out a hello from, without looking up at the newspaper, from the newspaper or the phone or whatever. And so we made a family resolution. It's the only family resolution that we've ever made, which was to give warm greetings and farewells. And so now whenever anybody comes or goes from our apartment, everybody gets up, comes over, gives them a hug or a kiss, really acknowledges them. And this moment of connection, it doesn't take a lot of time, energy, or money, because nobody has any extra time, energy, or money, but it really does make the atmosphere of my home much more attentive, much more loving and affectionate. Because you're right, you can just be so busy that you don't have time for the thing that's really your highest priority, which is a loving relationship with the people in your home.
And you talk about gold stars.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you dispense the actual sticky gold star if somebody does something right, but how does it work?
Well, I actually have a thick stack of the sticky gold stars, but really I mean it symbolically. Now, I'm a gold star junkie myself. I always want to get the gold star on the top of my homework. And my husband isn't a big gold star giver. And one of the things I had to do was to get used to that and accept that that was just part of his nature, and not to always be demanding or resentful if I didn't get gold stars. But also, I wanted to be much better about giving gold stars because it's important that people feel recognized and that they feel like they're getting that loving attention from other
Giving
people.
in the home and giving outside the home, because
yeah.
as you point out, it's important. We all find our own Calcutta.
Yes.
Something that stirs our soul, something we do.
Yes. Yes, well, so Mother Teresa, when someone said to her, I love your mission, I want to get involved, how can I help? And she reportedly said, find your own Calcutta. Meaning find the thing that calls to you, that's what you should be doing with yourself. Don't just glom onto my mission, find your own. And so I think it is really important for each of us to say, well, what is the thing that I'm called to do, or how can I help? What can I do given my talents, my circumstances, what's important to me, to try to contribute to my neighborhood in a very, very large sense.
And your calling was?
Well, I'm very interested in organ donation. Everybody should sign up to be an organ. If you believe in organ donation, sign up.
On the driver's license.
Sign up to do it. You can sign
Nobody
up online.
will want my liver, I promise you, but you never know.
Well, you got your corneas, yeah.
Right.
I passionately believe in this idea of organ donation. Also, a lot of people who believe in it just don't take the time to sign up. So it's something where people hold that value, but they don't follow up on it. So it's something where you don't have to persuade people, you just have to persuade them to take a little action and furtherance of it. So I got more involved in organ donation and trying to help spread the word about that.
And you also listen to the flame of enthusiasm, in a sense. Like, if you hear it, you act on it. You did it, you left. I mean, a Yale grad leaves law.
Yeah.
That would cause a stir, right?
Yeah.
You wrote your first book about?
It was called Power, Money, Fame, Sex, A User's Guide.
I see.
Yes.
Oh, I have to read it.
Oh, yeah. No, it was so much fun to read that book.
Okay, Power, Money, Fame, Sex, A User's Guide. And then you did books about JFK and Winston Churchill.
Yes.
Your heroes?
Yeah. Well,
necessarily?
Well, in the end, yes. But I didn't start out with that way. My real interest is human nature. All my books really are about human nature. And so I was drawn to Churchill and Kennedy because they were these gigantic personalities. They had these huge, especially Churchill had a huge role on the world stage. And they were exaggerated examples of human nature. So I really wanted to try to understand them more and to kind of understand human nature through they're both fascinating people too.
Is there somebody you read in the dark of night in your happy home? You grab for a book beside your bed, a philosophical writer, a Thoreau, a Mother Therese, a Saint Therese?
Yes. My spiritual master is Saint Therese of Lisieux, who is kind of an unusual choice for me because I'm not Catholic. And I had never heard of Saint Therese until I stumbled on a reference to her spiritual memoir, which is called Story of a Soul. But to anybody who knows anything about Catholic saints, she's like this giant rock star. She's super famous. She's actually a doctor of the church, so she's like a super saint. But when I read Story of a Soul, I really felt like I understood myself better. We couldn't be more different, Saint Therese and I. She died at the age of 24 in France in a cloistered convent. So our lives are nothing alike. We're nothing alike. And yet, it was reading about her where I really felt like I could understand myself and what I wanted to ask of myself so much better.
Yes.
So I've read that many, many times.
When we come back, we'll talk about decluttering our lives.
Yes.
I know you're going to get to it. And how to make your house a simpler place, but a more elegant place. It's almost a paradox, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a place where you go for refuge.
Yes. But you also want it to energize you. You want privacy and engagement. You want calm but excitement.
Sure, because at home, I don't know about you, because you have a husband and people who watch you, but if you live alone, you can pat around in the worst clothes, in the awful pajamas.
Yeah. Yoga pants.
Yoga pants. Do you do yoga?
Shoes. I do yoga, but I wear yoga pants much more than I do the yoga.
But you skip out on the meditation.
But I skip the meditation.
At the end.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be back with Gretchen Rubin, the creator of the Happiness Project. She has a passion for investigating, writing, and blogging about happiness.